Outposts are some of the most important islands in Sea of Thieves. However, not every outpost is created equal, and some outposts are better than others. And today, we're going to rank every single outpost in Sea of Thieves. And this is all just my opinion. This is meant to be kind of like a lighthearted video. Like, most of the outposts are fine. There's nothing wrong with most of them. Some of them have a lot wrong with them. We'll get to that. But what criteria am I using? Well, most of it is just personal opinion, but a lot of it's going to be with how convenient the outpost is, its location. There's going to be a little bit of bias in the aesthetics, but again, that's just my opinion. But most of it is the actual function of the outpost, its location, how easy it is to navigate, how convenient it is. So, without further ado, let's begin. At number 7, dead last, the worst outpost in the game, to nobody's surprise, is Morrow's Peak. Now, with the obvious out of the way, Morrow's Peak is in the Devil's Roar, which is the worst region in the game. This outpost is so bad, it's the only one you can't even spawn at. Even Rare hates this outpost. It's the only outpost where you can literally just die by doing nothing. You walk out of the tavern, you can hit a geyser, and you're close to explosions. You sail 2 feet away from the island, and your ship's just going to catch on fire. You're going to get hit by a volcano. Not to mention the Devil's Roar is just so out of the way. This is easily the worst outpost in the game. Coming in at number 6, this is the only outpost I truly hate, Ancient Spire. Now, why do I hate Ancient Spire? Well, it all has to do with this big ass mountain you spawn on. It's not as bad now that we have the zipline, but it used to be terrible, having to navigate your way down there, taking fall damage. It's kind of a cool concept, I guess. It's very unique, but why does the tavern have to be on top of the mountain? Imagine you have to go to the tavern because you forgot to, place your Athena emissary flag, or you need to go to the Pirate Legend hideout, or do anything in the tavern. You have to navigate your way back up the mountain. It sucks. It's not fun. It's annoying. And also, it's kind of secluded at the bottom of the map. But again, most of the reason I hate this outpost is because of that mountain. So Morrow's Peak and Ancient Spire are the only 2 outposts I consider bad. The other ones, I think, are all actually pretty good. But at number 5, it kind of pains me to put this here, we have Port Merrick. Now, I love Port Merrick. It's what I've always wanted in Sea of Thieves. Before it was New Golden Sands, and before that, just Golden Sands, I always wanted like a little town kind of in Sea of Thieves. And Port Merrick is that. The problem is, it's kind of annoying to navigate. It's huge. The good thing, though, is we have the Sovereigns in the game now, so you can just take all your loot to sell at the Sovereigns. But again, if you want to go somewhere else on the outpost, you need to make your way to the tavern, or you just want to explore. It's kind of a lot, especially if you want to find the Reaper stand to put your Reaper emissary flag up. It took me forever to find that my first try. And again, I love Port Merrick, but I think the general consensus is that it's kind of annoying to navigate. It's really cool as an island, but I think as an outpost, it's functionally not that good. But again, I love Port Merrick. One of my most popular videos on my channel is about Port Merrick, so it kind of pains me to put it here. But unfortunately, it's just not that great of an outpost. Again, it's a great island, but functionally as an outpost, it's not that great. And at number 4 is personally my favorite outpost, Galleon's Grave. I love Galleon's Grave. I always spawn at it. It's definitely the outpost I spawn at the most. That's probably why I love it so much. But I just think it has such a cool vibe and aesthetic, and I love the broken galleon at the top of the island, hence why it's called Galleon's Grave. The problem with Galleon's Grave, though, is it's kind of like in the northeast corner of the map. It's kind of secluded, kind of far off from everything. What I like to do is whenever I spawn at Galleon's Grave, it's right next to Trader's Fate Sea Fort, so I always do that. But aside from that, it's just kind of a cool outpost. It's right in the middle at number 4. It's kind of the definition of mid, simply because I think it's a really cool outpost. I just think it's kind of far away from everything, but again, it's not a bad outpost. At number 3, we have Sanctuary Outpost, and this is just a solid outpost all around. Sanctuary Outpost is what I think of when I think of Sea of Thieves. It's in the Shores of Plenty, which is probably the best region in the game. It looks the nicest. It just looks like Sea of Thieves. It's a very simple outpost. It's in the center of the map. It's got a good location. So it's just overall a solid outpost. The only little annoying thing about it is it has all these little kind of side islands next to the outpost, like where the main outpost is kind of on that center island, but that's not really that big of a problem. It's a cool outpost. Again, it's got a good location, and there's nothing really wrong with it. And at number 2, the second best outpost in the game is Daggertooth Outpost. And this is for one simple reason. Barrels. This outpost has a ton of barrels. It's probably the best outpost to spawn at if you want to stock up some food, supplies, cannonballs, all that kind of stuff. There's so many barrels on this outpost, and they're all right on the dock. Well, most of them are. There's a lot on the dock, and there's a lot throughout the island. And it's in a pretty decent location. You're not too far from anything. It's kind of central. I mean, it is in the wild, so it's kind of up in the north part of the map, but it is close enough to everything else, and it's not too terribly far from anything. So, this is a really good outpost. It's probably the best outpost to spawn at. I think the only outpost that has more barrels and more supplies is probably Port Merrick. But again, in Port Merrick, it's just so spread out. Whereas in Daggertooth, all the barrels, or a good majority of the barrels, are right next to the dock. You just go buy a supply crate, fill it all up, and get started. And at number 1, the best outpost in Sea of Thieves is Plunder Outpost. Now, the reason I think Plunder Outpost is the best is, number 1, its location. That's probably the main thing. It's got a really good location. It's right at the center of the map. It's right next to the Fort of the Damned. So you can just do Fort of the Damned. Then you can go sell most of the stuff for the outpost, or you're also really close to the Reaper's hideout. It's just got the best location. You're not far from anything. And unlike Ancient Spire, this one does have a little bit of a mountain, but it does not put anything on top of the mountain. Everything is at the bottom of the mountain, and it's just the solid outpost, mostly for the location. Again, there's really nothing wrong with Plunder Outpost whatsoever. There's a decent amount of barrels. It's just a solid overall outpost. So that's my ranking of every single outpost in Sea of Thieves. Again, I don't really hate any of the outposts except Morrow's Peak and Ancient Spire. Those are the only 2 outposts I think are just terrible. I hate spawning at... You can't even spawn at Morrow's Peak. I hate spawning at Ancient Spire. But yeah, this is kind of just a lighthearted video, all my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, this isn't meant to be taken seriously. It's just kind of a fun video to make. And with that being said, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. On the road to 1,000 subscribers. Leave a like, and thank you guys for watching.